Let's start recording. Cool. Take notes, Gemini. Do the thing. Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Food podcast. Today, I'm here with my co-host, Daniel. Joelle, do you go by Joelle or do you go by Joe? What do you go by?
It was easy. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever? Cool. Well, it's good to have you on. You actually got introduced to me because you commented, or someone commented on one of my posts about chocolate milk, and they were like, Jimmy, you need to meet her. Because my kids drink, it's a lot. I think it might be 4 gallons of chocolate milk a week. If I let them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I mean, I myself was a Nesquik addict growing up. So I still remember it was a very sad day when I, was a teen or something and started reading labels, and I was just like, shit. Like the dream was broken. I was like, I really should not be drinking this shit. Not to mention I started to notice that I felt like shit after drinking it. So, that is obviously the whole inspo for the brand was just like, how can I make a chocolate milk that's cleaner, better for you, but also actually tastes good and is still like nostalgic and indulgent? And, usually those two things are mutually exclusive.
Yes, they are.
So, as I discovered when I was, through the years trying desperately to find a better chocolate milk. So, eventually as we do as entrepreneurs, we're just like, fuck it, I'll make my own. To be honest, I didn't think it was going to work, but I was bored enough during COVID that I pulled out the Vitamix and some cashews, and I was like, let's go. And I think I'm probably I was the most surprised that it actually turned out pretty damn good, and then just kept tweaking it. And I was like, shit, this actually worked.
That's amazing. I love how many food businesses got started during COVID just because we were bored.
Yeah. It's a recipe for disaster for me to be bored, but in this case, I guess it's a recipe for chocolate milk.
Now it's a recipe for chocolate milk. So How did you, I guess, at what point did you say okay, we're gonna do this as a business? Because obviously you did the thing that a lot of entrepreneurs do, which is thing doesn't exist, I'm just gonna build it, I'll use it myself. And then it becomes a business because you can't stop. That happened to Daniel recently, actually, with pizza. Yeah. But how did you decide okay, we're gonna make this a business?
Yeah. So actually, one thing we kind of have in common is that my background also, I had a restaurant. So essentially I made it, I tried it myself, and I was like, this is good, but maybe I'm just nuts and losing my mind. So of course I need to get someone else to try it. So I had my friend Brooke come over, and I was just like, good thing she trusts me, because I'm just like, yo, drink this. And she's like, okay. And she drank it and she loved it. And she was like, you made this? And I was like, right? As if. And then she's my partner on the restaurant. So we're like, hey, why don't we just put it in bottles and put it on the shelf at Wolf Down and just see what happens. So literally the next question was oh, I guess, where do we buy bottles? How many bottles do you have to buy at a time? And the funniest thing looking back now is that, so we found a bottle supplier, but the min order was 500 bottles. So we're like, what are we going to do with 500 bottles? What if no one buys it? But we're like, oh, well, fuck it. We just got to risk it. And then the next funny part was just well, we need to put a sticker on it or something so people know what it is. And what should we call it? And I was immediately just thinking what's funny words with nuts? And of course, immediately, because I may have been called this a few times in my life, I'm just ha, Nutcase. And we're like, yeah, that's funny. Let's just print some stickers. So it really was just that random. And we're just okay. So we made a few batches, put it on the shelf at the restaurant, and they were instantly just gone. And we're like, oh, interesting. So we just kept making more, and it was just flying off the shelf. And we're like, that's interesting. And then the coolest thing for me was actually seeing the look on especially grown men's face when they'd come in and just light up when they would see chocolate milk. And the other cool thing was they're oh, but it's nut milk. I don't like nut milk. I'm like, shut up, just try it.
Just try it.
And then they're like, oh shit. They're like, I do like this. And you know, my hot take on all of this is that basically almond milk gave nut milk a bad rap, and that, by the way, cashews are fucking awesome, and like try cashew milk because it's way better. Like it's such a, if you just think about it, it's such a rich, creamy nut. It makes a perfect base for a creamy milk. So just from there, we kind of just were like, oh, I think, you know, like we might be onto something. Oh, and then the other next kind of like cue or hint was other shops and restaurants were coming into our restaurant. They're like, yo, like, who's your supplier for this Nutcase stuff? We're like, oh yeah, we're just making that in the back. But that's essentially how we kind of validated it. And of course, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I'm just like, I think like there's something here. How do we scale this shit? And that just like then just dove into the research of like, how do you make something shelf stable? Because of course the fresh product has like a week max of shelf life. I was like, that's not scalable. So then just dove into the science of it.
So how long did it take you to go through those first 500 balls? Because I remember you said like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you in hindsight, that wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was probably like a couple weeks. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I guess for the audience, since we kind of just jumped in, do you want to tell us like what Nutcase Milk is?
So it's a flavored cashew milk. So essentially we've got, and to get started, we just mimic the classic Nesquik lineup. So we've got chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. It's made with cashews, agave, and salt, like just all very clean, one of the shortest ingredient lists. And the idea is maybe like our overarching vision is to make chocolate milk dope again, and make it cool for adults and clean. So something you can feel good about. Of course, it's made with cashews, so it's dairy free. It's like we hit all of it's great for lactose free, of course, no artificial bullshit. So clean label, cool brand for adults, but that also then we don't feel bad or like we're totally chill if our kiddos are chugging it because at least it's good for them. And yeah, I mean that's it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that so much. And honestly, you said like earlier, like almond milk got a bad rap. It's true, but like Daniel and I talked about this on our last episode because we just recorded an episode of us riffing on random topics. And one of the big things that's happening right now in CPG land, and I would say really like it happens like in the culture, is there's a shift between like plant-based stuff and then like this like carnivore trend where they're like, I'm gonna drink milk out of a cow. Like though it just came out, we're drinking it right now.
They're like straight from
straight from the cow. And I have watched it now for almost a decade, and I'm like, none of this makes any sense. The way that you guys like classify things as healthy or not is also kind of nonsense. And I think a lot of it comes back to like, is it good flavors and a good products? Do people vibe with it? And like you said, like cashews are creamy. People are vibing with the product. You're definitely onto something. So do you guys like experience any of that from like grocery buyers or any of that land though? Like the weird cultural stuff where they're like, oh, well, like plant-based is like not in right now. But in 2 years, they're going to be like, do you have cashew milk? Can you please send it to me?
Yeah. Well, the big trend in the past year, I guess, in the whole alt milk world was the no seed oil thing. And I mean, just culturally overall. Yeah. So we have no seed oil. So yeah, like we're rocking that. So that obviously is a huge plus for us. We, to kind of explain the stage we're at, we kind of, last year, we calling it like our soft launch trial. We launched on e-com, and then just we're like getting feedback and starting to get the word out, get some feedback to really just learn. And it was so helpful because I learned so much. Obviously, like I'm new to the bev space, and it's a fucking beast. But one of the things, so like from all we learned, we really just dialed in the recipe, the flavors even more, dialed in the macros, dialed in the positioning was the biggest one, was because our messaging was all over the place, I'll be honest, because we didn't really know where to focus, because we're like, oh, we're better for you and this and that, and we've got all these benefits, but like what's going to resonate the most? And this is another like cool kind of happy accident, is that just naturally the product happens to be insanely high in potassium and other electrolytes. So we're just like, oh, without even trying, we kind of have this hydration drink, but it's milk. And we crush like coconut water or other sports drinks on the electrolyte side of things. So we're just like, all of a sudden this light bulb went off in my head that I was like, okay, so there's all these protein milks, which is like a super saturated category now. And there's all these hydration drinks, which is also super saturated, but there's no like indulgent hydration milk. And like, it hits so good after like a bit like a sweaty session when you're just like, you've finally cooled off and you like get to indulge in something, and like you get that sweet fix out of it, but it's also functional because you're getting all this hydration. Then last point I'll add to that is that, especially because we, in terms of the, there's different electrolytes, the fact that we're strongest in potassium, which is one that's like harder to find elsewhere. A lot of these like elements and cadence and whatever, they all like, they're highest on sodium. And I'm like, well, yeah, but then your drink's salty. But also just like sodium's pretty easy. Most of us have no issue getting enough sodium. But potassium, like unless you're crushing bananas all day, it's a harder one to find. So I think that's also kind of a unique angle that we have.
You kind of ended up in the like functional recovery hydration space, just kind of not necessarily like we're starting this direction, but you found it as you went along. Yeah.
And I feel like we also, like, one of the pieces of feedback we got is like almost everybody was asking me like, what's the function? I was like, man, like, can we not just be nostalgic and indulgent? And like, we're like, okay, fine, we'll be both, because we just like, so that really was kind of one of the big unlocks.
I mean, that's a gigantic unlock. And also, I think it was like my middle school football coach was obsessed with us drinking chocolate milk for some reason.
It's funny,
and like when you
tell me that that was a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Like,
and I wasn't in, this was not that long ago, right? Like I'm not that old. This has been like in like 2009 or 10, 2008. I guess I was in high school. Yeah, like it was a weird memory where someone had commented on that same post that I made, and they're like, oh, they could be like little bodybuilders. And I'm like, yeah, but have you seen like how much sugar is in this shit?
Yeah.
It's just a milkshake. Let's be fucking honest. Like it's not like loaded with protein. And now you're kind of saying like, no, like we could actually like hit that on the head.
Yeah.
Because like the best recovery drinks are loaded with electrolytes. I live in Bozeman now, and Element is everywhere because the founder of Element lives here. And so like their RTDs and their powders and their end caps, they're literally in like every restaurant. They're like literally fucking everywhere. I have respect because I'm like, yo, like in your home market, you should own that shit.
Yeah.
But like that's the best thing you could drink today. And like what you're saying is like you guys are kind of providing like almost the same thing. And I imagine that like actually there's a lot more nutritional benefit to like drinking like your cashew milk than there is to like a powdered water.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's actually nuts in it, so you also get all of like nuts are good for your brain. Like there's so many other benefits, and like maybe not like, okay, there's all the like 0 sugar hydration drinks. We're at 5 grams of sugar, which I think is like a good balance, because compared to Gatorade or Powerade, it's of course like way better than that. But you actually get some nutritional value out of it as well. So you actually get a little bit of like you get the satisfaction of like a little indulgence, but you also get some actual fuel out of it, because there's actually something in there.
Yeah. One
of the visuals I thought was funny to help some people wrap their heads around like the fact that they're like, oh, I actually feel like I got some energy out of this. It's not an energy drink from a caffeine perspective, but like it's a good snack alternative, because like take a Kind bar, throw it in the blender, you basically have nut milk. So it's also just like a different form factor for those bars.
That's really fascinating. That's super
So-
fascinating. The idea of a drinkable bar. Yeah, that's kind of where you've landed. You've landed in so many categories at the same time.
And that's my biggest, when they say as entrepreneurs, they're like, focus, Joelle. And I'm just like, but look at that. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
We're all ADD as fuck. So like,
I mean, screw focus. Focus is stupid. You be like Daniel, open like 12 food trucks. That's what you have to do. You have to like see a food truck on the market and be like, hey, we should own that random piece of equipment that I don't need. So take us back to how you got started, I guess, in food, because you said you own a restaurant. I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's how me and Daniel got started.
yes.
Give us the details. Like what's the restaurant? How did it happen?
Even more fucking random. So it's a German donor shop. My husband's German. I'd never heard of this stuff. But when I met him, so he moved to Canada. I'm in Canada right now. We're moving to Vegas. That's another story. But when he moved to Canada, so he moved to start Shopify with the founder, Toby. So the two German guys, they're in Ottawa, and they're like, we love Canada, but the one thing we miss from Germany is this German donor. And I was like, and these guys aren't foodies, so like for them to be harping on like a food is like really bizarre. And I was like, they hyped it up and raved about it so much, and I was like, this can't, like, it must just be nostalgic for them or something. Like, this can't possibly be this good. We've never heard of it. Of course, then the first time he takes me to Germany to meet his family and stuff, and we go have this donors thing, and I'm just, first bite, I'm like, holy fuck, like, what is this? Like, how have you guys kept this from us for so long? And like, I think it's like almost like and it comes from the Turkish migrants that brought it to Berlin, and that's where they made like this German version of it. So it's got the same roots as like shawarma and gyro. So like think of that, but like a German take on it, which to me is like better than all of the other ones. And it's like, it's the #1 street food down there that like somehow we've never heard of. Anyway, as soon as I had it, I was like, holy shit, this is the best. So we just ate it every single day when we were down there. And then we came home and we were like deprived and depressed because we were going through withdrawal. And like this went on for a few years. And every time we'd come home, we were like, someone needs to open a donor shop. Someone needs to. And then literally one day we were at dinner with Toby, the founder of Shopify, who I mentioned is also German. And they were like, again, complaining about how there's no donor shop in Ottawa. And they kind of jokingly were like, we don't care what it costs. We don't care if it makes money. Like, we just need a donor shop. Someone needs to do it. And I was kind of like, oh, maybe, like, I got this. I was like, challenge accepted. Like, so out of the blue, I have zero experience in food service, but I was like, I agree. We need this food. So like, I'm just going to figure it the hell out. So just got online. They're like, how much money do you need? I'm like, I have no idea. Let me do some research. And yeah, then we opened Wolf Down and it was a massive hit.
Not only is that absolutely amazing, but what were you doing before? what were you doing where you were like, screw it, we'll open in a restaurant now? I
had 2 other startups, and like the second one was like kind of winding down. So I was like, all right, I need a new project.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned doner kebab. The food truck that parks next to me at my kitchen is called New Berlin, and they are a doner truck, and they kind of brought doner kebab to Nashville as a concept. Yeah. Really amazing. It's fucking amazing food.
Yeah. Yes.
That is absolutely wild. So you guys are selling that, and then you started selling like nut chocolate milk inside, and people were like, this place slaps. Like, this is the best place I've ever been.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not the obvious place to be selling cashew milk. Like, it's not like I was like, we have a vegan salad bar or whatever. Right. We're just like, hey, we got a German donor shop. We got fucking badass chocolate milk.
Yeah, you really are a true entrepreneur, Joelle. Out here slinging it together. No, I love that story. And like, I guess like one thing me and Daniel always ask people who like have some experience in like food service or restaurants, like, are there any like wild things that like happened to you guys like as you were opening that like were unexpected? Like any like employee problems, equipment breakdowns, things that are bad?
Yeah, I mean, it's constant employee problems. Also, I mean, like flooding the kitchen and the usual stuff, or like we were importing the spits from the US. And then at some point we didn't have an import license. We didn't know we needed one. So at some point they just stopped sending them and we got in trouble. We also, we took over the restaurant and we just started operating. And then one day the spits, the grills run on natural gas. And one day just like, that's just cut, like no gas. And I was just like, what the fuck? So we call them and they're like, yeah, well, you never set up an account or paid a bill. I was like, well, I figured you'd like send me bills or something. Like, I mean, I hadn't done this for myself. Like I guess my husband already took care of that stuff. So I didn't know you had to like call them and set up. I was just like, it works. So they'll send me a bill, right? Like
I love that attitude. Like that's how I am.
Yeah.
Daniel knows that's how I am.
And I was like, well, why didn't you just walk in and tell me to pay the bill instead of they just came and turned it off. And I was like, dudes, like, can you come back and turn it back on? And they're like, well, the guy left and it's like a long weekend. And I was like, get him the fuck back. Like, and somehow he came back and I was like, look, I have no problem paying my bills. I was just like, I didn't know.
That's amazing. And yeah, all too often like weird stuff like that happens. I'll talk to like people who have like, I mean, most people who open like good restaurant concepts, it turns out like they've never had any background in like restaurants. It's usually like, I love good food, have a good idea. And like our first episode was with my friend Mary, who actually was just here in Bozeman yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And they opened a cookie dough shop like ours. She went to the same school that me and Megan went to and like was a fan of our concept, took it back to like Texas, opened one, and then she opened a mac and cheese bar where they make like mac and cheese kind of like Chipotle style.
Nice.
And like she was like, yeah, so like it literally is like every corner of like something that you didn't just know to do and you just didn't do it. You were like, like, I mean, everyone gets like their health permit, but then it's like there's always some kind of like weird permit, weird bill, utility thing. And like no one ever thinks to do it. You're like, I didn't know that was on like the schedule of shit I was supposed to do.
Right.
And it's funny because a lot of the times you just start operating and nobody says anything.
No. And like when I tell people, they're like, oh, did you have like a pro forma? I was like, I wouldn't have known half the shit to put on it. Like all the hidden costs or whatever, like our like waste management. I was like, it costs us over $1,000 just to get someone to pick up our trash. I didn't know like you have to pay, like again, residentially, people just come get your trash. I didn't like, it's so expensive, but and like, we're like, how many bins can we get this trash into? Because we're paying per bin. It's just like weird ass shit that you would never think about. And that's when like, so during COVID, I went on a bit of a blog rant, which, because I was just so sick of people being like, oh, why does it cost so much? Like, you know, the stupid when they're like, I could go to the grocery store and get these ingredients for like, and I was like, yeah, but we're paying for the trash guy. And like you can't just make this at home. So I wrote a blog called Why Restaurants Are So Fucked. And I just basically broke down like by the way, these are all the expenses and this is all like, this is why our margins are fucking brutal. And that went viral, which was pretty fun. And then so actually this is another funny story for you in terms of just restaurant shit. I followed up with a post. So the other thing was people were always complaining about how much Uber Eats takes. And so my background actually before food was more in tech. So I was one of the few restaurant owners that actually understood tech better than food. So I wrote a post called Why Uber Eats is a Necessary Evil. And essentially kind of just went like, everybody like hold up a minute. Can we like stop to understand the insanity of the service that Uber Eats provides to us to be able to feed any of my loyal fans like that without me managing a fucking workforce of drivers? Because during COVID, that's the only reason we survived. We just did an insane amount of sales on Uber Eats, and that's still half of our business. And I mean, I have a kid at home. I don't have time to go pick up shit at the restaurant. Like we get Uber Eats all the time. To me, I'm like, the value that they provide compared to like what they charge for it is actually like, we're getting a sick deal. Not to mention, I would never want the headache of having to deal with my own delivery fleet of people, and they couldn't do it on demand like Uber Eats does. So anyway, I wrote that piece just kind of like explaining this to people. The next day I get a call from Uber Eats and they were like, yo, we read your post. Thank you so much. No one has ever like backed us up like that. We sent it to all of our employees for morale. And they actually brought me on to advise them because I was like, look, I love you guys, but actually there's a ton of shit wrong with your UI and UX. And like, so they're like, oh, like, cool, we'd love to chat. Because again, they were like, we've never talked to a restaurant owner that actually understands the tech and is able to give us like proper feedback. Cause I was just like, there's things like in the restaurant, the orders are not condensed enough so that I can see all of it on one screen. So I have to scroll so much and I'm like just trying to make the food. So I was like, you guys have to condense it. And things like if it's 2x of like 2 sandwiches, like the 2 is so small and like our team misses that all the time. Like that should be way more obvious. And there's still things they could do better. But that was just like so hilarious that all of a sudden I started working with them and advising them. And it was a pretty cool experience, but.
Yeah, I think especially during that time, they needed that morale boost because they were, I mean, working overtime trying to keep these restaurants in business. I know because
and everybody was shitting on them. Like no one was appreciating it. Everybody's like, wow, you charge too much. And I'm like, you paid $5 to get food like that appearing at your doorstep. Like, holy fuck.
It's not cheap to operate at all. No, they really saved the restaurant business.
They did. And like, the service that Uber, DoorDash, and Grubhub provide like today, like to this day, is revolutionary for so many reasons. Like I'm a little obsessed, like a tiny little bit obsessed. It's cool you brought up that story. I'm a little obsessed with like the way Travis Kalanick thinks about like food like in the future. And like the way that ties into that business model. And like the more you think about it, it's like they're enabling you to have something at home that simply you could not have had before, like on demand. And like if you just like look at like quality of life standard for like someone making the exact same amount of money, granted inflation is bad, but that's like put that aside, like somebody like 50 years ago could not have gotten like on demand food like that from like their favorite restaurant. And so technically they've like raised the standard of living of like the whole world, at least the places that they operate in. And I think that's really cool. And they're also empowering restaurants, like you said. Like they're doing a thing that like I think is downplayed a lot because people are like, you're just operating like a pizza delivery like fleet. But it's like, no, it's so much more than that, and it can be so much more than that. But I love that you made that post. That's cool. That's awesome. And also awesome that you explained to people why restaurants are so expensive. Daniel had a thread go viral recently along the same lines about his pizza. And it was hilarious to watch people respond to it because some people are just dumb. Like, I don't know what to say.
So I'm planning to do this for Nutcase as well. Once we really have a handle on our new cogs, because we changed the formulation a little bit, I plan to do a similar post of just like, cause you're like, why is it $3 for chocolate milk? And you're like, well, quality ingredients, co-packers, tolling, like all these things again that I didn't know like a year or 2 years ago. It's like, by the way, this all adds up and shipping and this kind of stuff. So just like explaining it to people, because we're like, we're not Coke yet. So things cost more. We don't have the economies of scale. And by the way, we're actually using nuts, not just like one peanut and like a ton of fake fillers and shit that just mimic shit. So yeah, that costs something.
And the first ingredient on your label is not a seed oil, like
seed oil or sugar
or water. Yeah.
You're not filling it with canola oil.
Exactly.
Otherwise known as rapeseed oil, which is why they don't call it that, because that sounds kind of fucked up.
So here's the one crazy thing I learned that's like such a shady hack that a lot of the alt milk industry uses. So if your milk, because as you know, the first ingredient has to be the one that there's the most volume of, right? So because things like silk and some of those don't actually use that much actual nuts, the first ingredient is something they called like nut water, and they're like water, and in parentheses after it says water with nuts, or like water with almonds. And they have to do that because or else almonds would be like at the bottom of the list after the other shit. And I can't believe that's allowed, to be honest. So they're like, oh, if we actually just put water and then almonds where it fell on the list, it'd be too far down. So we're just going to make up this ingredient called almond water. And it's total bullshit. Whereas like ours actually just says water and then cashews and then everything else comes after because there's actually a real amount of cashews.
So they invent a compound ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird that they were allowed to invent a compound ingredient.
Like you'll see so many labels will have it like in parentheses.
I want to meet that lawyer. Somebody introduced me to that lawyer. That's the strangest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, how'd you come up with this idea? And they're like, well, one day I was thinking of ways to fuck people. And I came up with almond water. Almond water is my new ingredient. That's crazy. That's absolutely wild.
That's
I guess
mind blowing.
because it's processed before it goes into the milk.
Make it a slurry or something.
I'm not gonna do the mental gymnastics. That's crazy.
But I know wild. Like you can't actually find the actual information, but like there's tons of sources that assume that in like one glass of silk milk, there's like maybe 1 or 2 almonds. And the rest is just like filler, thickener.
Dude, I gotta read. I'm gonna read the
and
ingredient list now. Yeah. I want to know. I want to look at it with my own eyes because I've never. Oh my god! in silk almond milk, the number one ingredient, you can't make this shit up, is almond milk. The number one ingredient in almond milk is almond milk. The second ingredient is cane sugar. It says filtered water. And almonds. That's amazing. That actually is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I should just invent as an ingredient Nutcase milk, and then we would be a one ingredient thing. So it would just be like,
I know. I'm like, wait, so should I make cookie dough like its own ingredient and then in parentheses all the other shit in the cookie dough?
Yeah.
Because why would you not break it down? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you for my next LinkedIn post. Because I'm gonna screenshot this. That's so funny. It says almond milk, dude. One word. It's not even 2 words. They
made up
They made up a word. They were like, it's almond milk. Wow, that's crazy, dude. Almond. What about almond breeze? Let's click on that. Almond breeze. What did you say in your ingredient list? Almond milk. Let's go. That's amazing, dude.
Cleanest label ever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, dude, because they're doing in their almond milk is almond milk and sugar. And then like whatever the fuck else.
And then people will be like, "Where's the nuts?" Oh, it's there under the seed oils. Yeah,
it's cool. It's like it's all part of the, whatever that is.
What a scam!
That's so interesting. It is a scam. Now I kind of want to look at. Dude, okay,
this needs to be his next mission.
This will be his mission.
Yeah.
Get RFK on that.
Yeah.
Like, sir, you're gonna need to eliminate the ingredient almond milk.
Yeah.
I was gonna look up oat milk because now I want to see what Oatly says. And there's just like, okay, it's a little less dumb. It's oat base. That's their number one ingredient. Oats and water and oats, actually, because water is above the oats because that's the only way you'd get milk out of an oat. That's really funny. But then theirs just contains 2% less of like other stuff because they don't dump sugar in it. I actually like oat milk as far as like lattes. Me and Daniel had a conversation about this. I think it's good. I don't know if it's good for you, but I think it tastes good.
The challenge with oat milks is most of them, because if you think like oats are like, they're not fatty, right? So you usually do need to add some kind of oil to give it the texture. That's the only downside of it, is like it just isn't natural. Like cashews are naturally fatty. Yeah. This is why our drink isn't 0 fat, but it's like it's natural, healthy fats.
Yeah, one time I took a class to make a vegan queso, and the base was cashews. That was in like 2019. This is before I had kids. I was like super into vegan stuff in 2019. I was on the bandwagon.
As we do.
I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but it is what it is.
That's okay. I did keto for a month.
Yeah.
And then this is like I fucking live for carbs. What am I doing?
You know, this is sad.
Life
Yeah, I
without
did
bread
it.
is not life.
That's
Or pizza.
hard.
Like,
Yeah, I've never done keto. I have a friend Parker who did a bunch of different diets in a row like that for fun. Parker Olson. He's a good follow on LinkedIn. He's a great guy. Runs
okay.
a company called Podpitch now.
Okay.
Podpitch is awesome. But he had a CPG brand before, so we met. He was
Sick.
living in a van, selling CPG products. A big fan.
Yes.
So Joelle, what's the plan for Nutcase? You said you're moving to Vegas.
Yes.
Why?
Why not? Fuck it. So like, yeah, I mentioned I'm Canadian. I'm from Canada. Canada's done. We're out. But the winters are too cold, but also politics. We actually, for the longest time, I can't handle the winters anymore. So we've always said like we need to move somewhere warmer, and we look the traditional spots like California and whatnot. And then we're like, well, that's California now, and that's out of the options. And so my husband and I actually play a lot of poker. So we were constantly making trips to Vegas. And the funniest thing is, like, for the first few years, we never went off strip. So we're just like, oh, we're just going and playing poker. But then we made so many friends and built such a community through the poker world. There's some really awesome people. And the funniest thing is, the only reason this happened is we got a dog who's like our daughter, Billy, and we're like, well, we can't travel without Billy, so we got to bring Billy to Vegas. So all of a sudden now on these trips at night, we'd be like, we need to find a dog park. So it's only because of that we started to explore off strip, and we were just like, holy shit, like, it's so nice. Like, the communities are unreal. I mean, when you get the gambling tax money, I guess it pays for a lot. The dog parks are amazing. The dog friendly patios. I'm from East Coast, so it's freaking humid. So like, I love the dry desert heat. It's hot. Amazing food. Everybody's coming, like, everybody ends up in Vegas sometimes. So it's also like super convenient because no one wants to visit me here in Ottawa. There's no reason to come to Ottawa. So we were just like, holy shit, like, this place is the best. And they actually are starting to really have like an amazing booming startup community, and CPG especially. So then we started making friends in CPG, like the NeuroGum guys are out there. They're amazing, and a bunch of other great founders. So it really was a no-brainer. So we bought a lot and started building. It's just, the build is, of course, taking longer than anticipated. And of course, we had to submit our visa application, all the fun bureaucracy, see if Trump lets us in.
Yeah, I mean, you picked a hell of a time to come here because both countries are kind of like fucked up. But hey,
Yeah.
it's the only place left on Earth that's in North America. Oh, well, there's
Yeah.
Mexico too. But
The one thing you can count on in the US, though, is that they're supporting startups and entrepreneurship. And
yeah, and
the
there's
one
a
thing that
pendulum
Canada
that swings in this country that's like very much swinging as fast as it can. So that will continue to happen.
Canada's like
everybody.
California. It's just insane, like taxes and just bullshit and just like, what is going on? Yeah.
That's what I've heard from most Canadian people that live there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Americans, like, we look at Canada as this magical, amazing place.
Yeah.
With,
I
like,
don't know.
healthcare.
Whoever did the branding for Canada is crushing it, because
they are crushing it. They're crushing it because people look at it and they're like, hey, Canada sounds fucking awesome. And you're like, yeah, but like, everyone I know that lives there, like the people that live in Canada, are like, it's not that great.
Everybody's
no offense to
getting
Canada. I think it's beautiful
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is
People
what
are
it
like,
is.
oh, free healthcare. I'm like, yeah, it's free. So you get what you pay for, which is like
You get what you pay for.
absolute garbage and like wait lists, and you can't actually get anything done. The service is garbage. Like, we have no doctors. Great.
There's probably a middle ground that nobody has figured out yet, because let's be honest, the government is running it. And in this country and yours, they have no fucking clue what they're doing. This is my favorite. My favorite thing about growing up in general, actually, and I only noticed this once I entered my 30s, is that everyone is a moron. And it's amazing that nobody knows what's going on ever. It's something that as a kid you don't really think about, and then in your 20s you kind of gloss over. And then I as got older, I was like, it's interesting that I am the adults now, and I know that I don't know what's going on, and neither do most people. And that's great. It's good to know.
Yeah, exactly. You grow up, you're like, someone, like, they know what they're doing, right? Like,
no, they're trying their best. They're definitely trying their best.
It's just a shit show. Cool.
Yeah. It's a shit show of people trying their best.
I mean, for me, COVID was really what kind of the veil, because that was the first time, especially in Canada, we had crazy lockdowns. It was the first time that I was like, oh, you're telling me I can't go outside and I can't operate my business, and you just don't give, like, or just fucked and you just don't care. Cool.
It was also, I think it was the first time the world had to respond to a crisis together. And it turns out we're grossly underprepared to operate as a global community doing anything, which is awesome. It's like sometimes people are like, it would be cool if like the aliens invaded, because then we would all like, you know,
unite. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, we would
one side would be like, let's befriend them, and the other side would be like, no, let's end them.
Yeah, we'd be like, let's nuke them right now. We're gonna nuke
Elon would be like, I got this, guys. Like,
yes, Elon. I love the movie Don't Look Up, even though people shit on it on Netflix. I thought it was hilarious only because there was like the billionaire dude in the movie who wanted to mine the asteroid, and he was like, let's let it get close enough that we can extract the gold. And it won't hit the earth. We swear to God, we'll blow it up before it hits the earth. And you're just like, somehow I know that would happen. Somehow I know that people would be like, wait, there's gold on that thing? Okay. Let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, we're a hilarious species. But I have a lot of hope because most people seem to like recognize bullshit for what it is, which I don't think was the case like 20 years ago.
No, I feel like finally the shit got crazy enough that finally people are like, oh, wait, hold up. We went too far. We went way too far.
Yeah, way too far. I mean, there's stuff that's like happened in your country. There's stuff that happened here where I'm like, yeah, that was like poor planning and executions.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because in the business world, people actually do a pretty good job of making really cool stuff happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why this is the best space to be in. You meet awesome people. It's inspiring. That's what I have more. That's what gives me hope, is like meeting other founders and being like, we're taking matters into our own hands. And yeah,
dude, amazing things happen every day, and we live in a better place every year. And it's literally because of people like yourself, and other founders that are like out there, like making the future happen in like small little ways, because they were like, this doesn't exist, I'm gonna make it myself. And then now you have Nutcase Milk everywhere soon. So what's the plan to milk and cookies? What's the plan for like selling it, like once you guys like get into production? Where's your co-packer at?
Our co-packer is in Minnesota, of all places. Just happens to be a co-packer there that works really well with nut milks, and was obviously willing to do smaller trial runs in the beginning. So they make it there and then ship it to our warehouse in Vegas. We are, like I said, we kind of did like our trial year last year, and then we just paused that, taking all the feedback, went back to R&D, came up with a brand new formula. Like I said, just really dialed in the flavor, the macros, the positioning, the messaging. So I'm so stoked. Like, we made a massive kind of upgrade from V1 to V2. And I know they say like most brands, like their V1 is never the final, what you end up blowing up. But so V2, we are preparing to launch on October 1st online, and then followed up with October 2nd. We actually got selected to do a trial with Whole Foods. In there, they have a new program called the Innovation Playground, which is a fun name. So that'll be for like kind of West Coast, so California, cool. Vegas, or Nevada, Arizona. So we're like, that's all my focus is on, like, we have to crush that. And so I'm trying to like tune everything else out because there's lots coming at us. But yeah, I'm so pumped for that, because I couldn't. For us, that's like the ultimate best partner to start with, both from just like a brand vibe, perspective and just like the footprint and the target demo, of course. So
yeah, and I mean, like from day one, you're going to be like searching for like where it works.
Yeah.
And I think like that's like a good place to start for like what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to go like full like sports fitness route.
Yeah.
Which
And
you could at some point.
yeah, I mean, we do get like some inbound wholesale requests from gyms and stuff like that. So I'm kind of waiting to see like how organically that happens. And then obviously when we have a bigger team and more resources, then we can attack that as well.
I absolutely love that. So do you guys plan on raising money, or like how are you funding everything right now? Like obviously you have another business, like you guys have been doing stuff for a while.
Yeah, we did an initial pre-seed round with kind of friends and family. Some of them happen to have a VC fund, so that helps. But so it's a kind of
you do know the Shopify guys,
and
it's helpful,
guys. So yeah, we've done it kind of ourselves currently, but coming up, we'll probably do a seed round in the fall and looking for. In this case, we'll be looking for more strategic people, like actually have industry experience that can help with whether connections, knowledge, experience, whatever. Because I'm still just, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out. It's fine.
I think it's the name of the game, though. You know that. Like I think every entrepreneur knows that. You talk to people who've like done super well, and I think that's kind of like that's like the tip of the spear mentality that like a founder has to take. Is that like, hey, like we're just gonna kind of figure it out as the problems like appear.
Yeah.
And like be willing to like be the person that's like figuring out the worst problem at the worst possible time.
I just watched a podcast with Max Tuning explaining the whole sour strip story, and it was honestly one of the best like stories I've heard, because he was so candid about just like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. He's like, I just like was like, well, this feels good to me. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It's a good
Dude,
one.
you'll have to. I'll hit you up after this. I want to listen to that podcast. I love listening to like good, like authentic founder stories. It's very hard to find them.
Yeah.
Too many people try to like gloss over like the bad stuff. My favorite book actually is still Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Yeah.
Because he wrote a book about that. Basically, like he had no clue what he was doing. And it's nice to know that guy had no idea what he was doing, because he ended up in a real great place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to know that like that can happen. It's very positive story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, that's why this pod is great. And I'm actually, we're working on trying to do our own pod as well, but like not with guests, but just like literally like you say, telling the whole story, because even like a month after you forget about the shit that happens. But so like getting more into the dirt and sharing more of like just how ridiculous and fucked up shit gets, and like the roller coaster of it all
inside the Nutcase.
Yeah, I mean, we've both tried to do that like more and more over the last few years. And like for me personally, like our journey at No Baked has been strange, because we had a weird product that didn't really fit into like a category. That's always been strange.
Right.
And we've pivoted the business like 5 times, like right back into like kind of the same place that we were at in like 2018, 2017, which is weird. I think you just kind of have to like roll with the punches. And I also try to like remind myself, like we were doing this as like a bunch of children. When we started the company, it might as well have been like a pirate ship filled with people under 23, which is strange. That it worked at all when you think about it.
Yep. That's the best part. But like, even sometimes someone asks me something specific, I tell a story and I'm like, I literally forgot that happened until like you asked me about it. And I was like, we should really be documenting more of this and letting people really behind the scenes more.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, dude. It's not only is it a good marketing strategy. Now I think people have started to see it work. Like No Bakes kind of came up around the same time as like Midday Squares, and Jake is a friend. And in the beginning, I will not lie, I thought Jake was a nut. Like,
oh, he is.
I mean, I love him as a person. Like in person, he's awesome. But like the strategy that they took in the beginning, I thought like, whoa, you guys are dumping like way too much money into this.
Right.
Lost him there for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll come back.
All good.
a very strange period of time for them, where it was like your sales do not back up like the type of like investment that you're making into like basically making content, and it has worked out for them really well. I think obviously you have to like raise money to do that, but at the same time, like I don't know if you do. They probably could have done it cheaper. I think they figured it out eventually. They're profitable now.
Yeah, they're my fellow Canadians. Jake was in Ottawa so I met him. This is a funny story. I met him, just like ran into him at one of the conventions, and like I just followed him online, so I knew who he was, and I was just like, oh hey, like, and we started chatting and just like hit it off, and I was like, yeah, I'm in Ottawa. And then a few weeks later he said like, oh, he was in Ottawa for something, and I had read like his stories about, he's like, oh, I just like crash on people's couches and whatnot. I was like, oh, do you need a place to stay? He's like, yeah, actually. I was like, all right, just like come stay over. So like we'd met for like 30 minutes, and then he like stayed at my place, and like we're just like, this is so chill.
That sounds authentic, and yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
He's like, I brought squares, and I was like, cool, here's a bed, like we're good. But yeah, I love that's what also just like, that's what you get in the startup world, I think, as well, is like we're all there's this kind of like bond that you meet like-minded people, I guess, and you're just like, yo, whatever you need, like I got you.
Yeah, that's how I've like started making friends in Bozeman, and I think like similar to how like me and Daniel became friends through like shared pain at the same period of time.
Because no one else gets it. That's why I can't go to family stuff anymore, because I'm just like, like, what am I going to talk to? Like they're all, nothing wrong against it, but like they're teachers and government workers. They don't understand my world. There's no point in me trying to explain it. Yeah.
It's like we live in the upside down. Everyone's in the right side up, right? From like Stranger Things. And you're trying to explain to them like, hey, there's this other world. It works very differently from yours, and there's no context or way you're going to be able to understand it. Just is what it is.
Yeah.
Dude, it is so weird, and I started feeling like that a few years ago, where like for me, like the more me and Megan like built a life around being like just pure entrepreneurs, like we've never had like jobs, like no like ever stable anything, like it's just constant instability, and we never raised a lot of money. So like I started becoming friends with more and more people who were like us. And then like slowly insulating myself away from like people who are like defined as like just any old like person out there with like a 9-to-5 job. And then whenever I would go to like a kid's birthday party or something of like a friend from like college or like something like that, I'd be like, you guys are all living like the strangest life in relation to mine, and it's hard to relate.
Yeah, you're like or like they're living for weekends, or like I don't know, I just can't. Yeah,
they're like living for weekends, whereas like I'm like worry. My worries seem to be like bigger, not to like downplay anybody's worries in their life. Like everyone has shit. I mean, that's
about. The trade-off is that like you get a secure job and you just do what you're told, and you don't have to overthink. You're being told what to do, whereas we wake up every morning having to decide what the fuck, how we're gonna move the needle, like completely no structure.
The lack of structure, dude, that was the thing that got me until we had kids. We didn't have kids like necessarily, like we were not like planning to do that, and then it just kind of like happened. And the craziest part about that is like I thought like, oh, this is gonna add a bunch of like headache, and instead it gave me a schedule, which I desperately needed. As a young entrepreneur in Nashville, a schedule that wasn't centered around drinking. That was great. Getting away from that and back into like, structure. Because even in the restaurant world, it's like easy to like, sleep until noon and like stay awake until 2 a.m.
See, for me with my little guy, Jack, he's 3 now. I think that personally the biggest, like the coolest thing with him, benefit that I get is the perspective. So at the end of the day, you had a few bad calls and you're like, fuck this, and you're stressed out and whatever. And then he just comes up to you and he's like, mommy. And you're just like, you know what? It's all good. Like, it's not that bad. Like, if he's happy and he's healthy. So it just like really helped me put into perspective, like what matters at the end of the day. And that's been super helpful because I used to like go off the rails if like things were wrong, and then I just get in such a funk and like over stupid shit, you know.
Yeah, Daniel's like that still. There's no kids, so you like maybe that's the
there you go.
problem, Daniel.
Maybe
You
that's
need
the
a
problem.
kid.
You just need a mini Daniel that like, my husband's named Daniel too, so this is like really hitting home. But
There we go.
he just needed a mini Daniel, and that now I have like a mini version of him too. So between the two of them, they keep me like sane. I mean, the insanity of them keeps me sane, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Two kinds of insanity that kind of cancel each other out in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's
good explanation.
Yeah. It is easy to go like what you described. It's easy to get into a funk as like an entrepreneur. I have like one last question now that I'm curious about. Like, is there a way that like you get out of that when you've had like a bunch of like bad, like supposedly bad things happen? A lot of the times it's like perceived, but
so I again, Jack, the kids help because they're just so innocent and like nothing, they don't care. He's just like, oh, I'm a T-Rex, and you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Like that's the energy, like that's the vibe I need. Let's just roar this out. But I think if anything, the real answer is that the most helpful thing for me has just been experience. So like you build thicker skin. So when shit really sucks, just knowing that like, I'm like, whatever, just wait it out. Tomorrow you'll get a good call from Whole Foods and everything will be fine. So it's that experience of knowing that like it's temporary and just keep going because it always turns around. So like those early years, the weeks where I wouldn't sleep at night because I'd be like, oh, so-and-so didn't return my call. They must hate us and we're fucked or whatever. And then a week later, like, yeah, sorry, I was away. Yeah, we're good. Let's do it. And you realize like you were stressing all that time for nothing. So yeah, now I'm kind of just gotten a lot better at realizing like, just give it a week and something good will happen. So just like, it's just part of you kind of are aware that it's just part of the drill. So just don't let it affect you more than it should. But
yeah, my strategy's been when I get down in a funk is it usually lasts no more than 2, maybe 3 days. So I just ride it out and then I'm back and I'm fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Have some good.
I'm glad you guys have figured it out.
Pizza and cookies.
Pizza, cookies, empanadas, nut milk.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, you just need like really good food and you'll be fine.
We'll have survival kit, founder survival kit.
So you can have this shipped to your door. It's a box. It'll make you feel better. You'll be fine. That's awesome. I love that. Cool. Well, Joelle, like when people want to find you guys, where should they go and where should they follow along? Yeah.
So get on the wait list for V2 at drinknutcase.com or follow us at drinknutcase on Insta for updates. I want to hear from all of you guys when you try it.
I'm really excited to try it.
Me too.
I need to have it in my life. It sounds great. And now that I know the electrolyte thing, I'm like, I may order like a lot of it. It would be cool to have instead of Liquid IV, which I keep buying from Costco because it's at Costco. So like,
and let me know what your kiddos think. I'd love to. Yeah.
I will. I'm sure my kids will like it because my son is obsessed with chocolate milk and there is literally nothing he cares about more in the entire world. He's 3 as well. Yeah. And so Asher will look at me in the morning when he's like half asleep and say, chocolate milk. And I'm like, that's not a question. That's not anything, man. Like, he's like, you please give me a full sentence. And he's like, he looks at me as if to say, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Get me my fucking chocolate milk. I'm like, all right, fine, dude. Fine. I'm trying to get him to like just express himself like normal person, but it's fine. When he goes to school though, like we just took them to their like I guess it's like an open house for like their Montessori school that they're going to. It starts next week. One here in Bozeman. He communicates really well with other kids and teachers and like other people. Just with me, shorthand. Because like he's just, oh, you know what I mean, bro. Yeah. Just chocolate milk.
Be careful what you wish for though, because that was me with my little guy a few months ago, and now he knows how to negotiate, make demands. Like you're just like, oh shit, you're too smart now. Damn it.
Oh yeah, like no, dude, my 5-year-old daughter is a terrorist, so it's fine. Like, and a terrorist in the sense that like she is very manipulative.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be this way?
And they'll
You're a
remember
child.
everything you said, and they'll use it against you later. And you're just like, how do you remember that shit? And how
I'm
do you know to
impressed by
like?
it.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's really cool.
Yeah, kids are interesting when they remember things because their memories are actually like wildly vivid, and I do think it has to do with the amount of time they've been alive. That's a theory. I'm bro sciencing right
That's
now,
fair.
but that's
No,
my
no,
theory.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're just not like there's less.
Yeah, their
you're not
memory
overloaded.
file. Yeah, their memory file hasn't been filled up yet, so like therefore the perception of time, memory.
Because yeah, there's days where I'm just literally like my husband's trying to like teach me, and I'm just like, nope, no space, no
Space.
capacity right now, cannot take anything else in.
Yeah, I'm like a big I'm a big person on that stuff, and it's like sometimes like I've been reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius like a nerd. It's very hard to read. I find it very difficult to read and like to like because you don't want to just read it. You want to like read it and be like, okay,
Yeah,
it's in my head.
I'm not ready
Dude,
for that.
last night I was like, and I have not been sleeping very well all week. 'Cause my kids have all been sick, but I was staring at the page and I was just like, I found myself halfway down the page, not remembering what I had read, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
My brain stopped working for a moment on autopilot. Crazy, dude. All right, Joel. Well, it was really great talking with you. You told everyone where to find you. I'm really excited to order the Nutcase Milk. I'm excited for you guys to launch. If you ever need anything, hit me up.
If I whenever I have not.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I've not been to Nashville yet, but
well, I'm in Montana now.
You're in Montana,
so
sorry. Okay.
In theory, like closer to Vegas.
But
also, like, I mean, there's direct flights to Vegas and Nashville. I'm back and forth between Nashville and Bozeman.
Okay.
But
or if you guys are
I like
Vegas,
it here.
Everybody ends up in Vegas at some point. Seems to be.
At some point, you'll end up in Bozeman if you really like skiing. But you said you don't like the cold, so
no,
I don't know.
Yeah, not so much.
You're like super anti-cold now after this many years.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm done. I'm a total baby. And aside from, and then like I've got peer pressured into a couple cold plunges, and I thought I was gonna die, but I did feel fucking amazing after. So I don't know. I don't know.
I go back and forth. It depends on the day for me. Do I like the cold? Do I not like the cold? I'll find out in Montana. It's definitely not as bad as Canada though. That is the thing. No. You guys are like really far north.
We'll get like -30, -40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here in Bozeman, people are like, the winter is hard. And it's like, yeah, it's the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, it snows a lot. But like they'll have 1 week of negative temperatures. And that's kind of it.
But it's not just that. Then it's like, it's the ice. It's the buried in snow bullshit. Like you can't go anywhere because you're just snowed in. And I don't know. Some people love it. I don't get it. I'm like, take me to the desert, please.
Yeah. All right, guys. I will talk to you later. Joelle, this has been awesome.
Yes.
I love getting to know you.
I'm so glad.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Bye.
Bye.